This is just a quick message to say that this video has been re-uploaded, this review, due to the fact that I forgot to turn down the game audio in the background, and I think it's best for me to re-upload this because there are some even though I can hear it, maybe some people cannot hear what I'm saying because of it. So I've turned down the game sound now, so you should be able to hear me. So yeah, just don't be alarmed of the fact that this has been re-uploaded. So yeah, cheers. Enjoy the vid. Hey there guys, this is GT5Man21 here, and today here is your review of the Spanish Grand Prix coming from the Circuit de Catalunya. Now, it was a very entertaining race and thoroughly enjoyable. So first of all, let's go over the qualifying. Now, it was interesting to see what McLaren were doing, and it just seemed to me that their practice form had gone downhill. But yeah, there was already a red flag when the session started for Q1, because Pastor Maldonado lost control at turn 3 and smashed into the wall, breaking his suspension. Because of that, he was not able to set a time and would start last. Then nothing really much happened after that. So the 6 people that got knocked out in Q1 were Adrian Sutil again, Max Chilton, Jules Bianchi, Marcus Ericsson, Kamui Kobayashi, and of course Pastor Maldonado, who had the crash. Then we got into Q2, and only 2 people did not set a time because they both had problems. Jean-Eric Vergne and Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen had a bit of an issue with, I can't remember what it was, and Jean-Eric Vergne had a problem. Had another problem which I can't remember, but it didn't matter anyway for Jean-Eric Vergne, because he was then given a 10-place grid penalty for not securing a wheel properly during practice 2. However, it did mean though that he could start ahead of Pastor Maldonado because he did not set a time. I think that's like a rule. If you've set a time, then you're allowed to then you're allowed to be ahead of the person who didn't. So it was kind of nothing really much shocking happened, apart from the fact that Gutierrez finally got into Q2 after being knocked out at Q1 all of a sudden. So the 6 people that were knocked out in Q2 were Nico Hülkenberg, Sergio Perez. Both Force Indias were disappointed. Daniel Kvyat, Esteban Gutierrez, and obviously Kevin Magnussen and Jean-Eric Vergne. So our top 10 that were through into Q3 were the 2 Mercedes of Rosberg and Hamilton, the 2 Red Bulls of Ricciardo and Vettel, the 2 Ferraris of Alonso and Raikkonen, the Williams of Valtteri Bottas, both Williamses of Bottas and Massa, the McLaren of Jenson Button, and for the first time since Brazil last year, Romain Grosjean got into Q3. The Lotus is definitely... Oh no, wait, he did qualify in the top... Sorry, that's a mistake. He did actually qualify in the top 10 in either Bahrain or China. I can't remember the 2, but it didn't matter anyway. So we got into Q3, and straight away there was a big shock. Sebastian Vettel came out of his garage very slow as Daniel Ricciardo overtook him. He then went onto the track, and the problem got worse. He pulled over to the side. It actually turned out he had a gearbox issue, which grounded him to a halt, and he was not able to set a time at all. And because of that, also, Sebastian Vettel was given a 5-place grid penalty for changing his gearbox, meaning he would start 15th. So basically, everyone was fighting it out for the top 9 positions. And straight away, it was already going to be a Mercedes as they were dominating. But the rest of the field, they were scrapping. The 2 Ferraris were, for the first time since returning to Ferrari, Kimi Raikkonen out-qualified Fernando Alonso. He qualified 6th. Fernando Alonso could only manage 7th. Jenson Button, which we all thought had improved, could only manage 8th. And Felipe Massa couldn't beat him as he only managed 9th. Big cheers all around for Valtteri Bottas and Romain Grosjean. Valtteri Bottas proving that he's very good in the dry with that Williams, managed to put his Williams in on the second row again, like he did in Bahrain. He qualified in 4th. But all round, Romain Grosjean managed to qualify in 5th position in that Lotus. What a surprise. Lotus have definitely improved over the 3-week break. Daniel Ricciardo managed to put his Red Bull into 3rd position and was getting closer and closer to the Mercedes'. It looked like Red Bull have taken more steps into Mercedes, but it was still the Mercedes' that were on pole. But the question is, which Mercedes? Because Rosberg did look quick in the qualifying sessions in Q1 and Q2. They were both battling, but in the end, it was Lewis Hamilton who took the pole position by just under 0.2 of a second ahead of Nico Rosberg. So Lewis Hamilton took his 4th pole out of 5 races, and Mercedes continuing their pole position run, 5 out of 5. So Lewis Hamilton took the pole position from Nico Rosberg, then Daniel Ricciardo was 3rd, Valtteri Bottas 4th, Romain Grosjean 5th, Kimi Räikkönen 6th, Fernando Alonso 7th, Jenson Button was in 8th, Felipe Massa 9th, and obviously Sebastian Vettel did not set a time in 10th, but he also would have to carry a 5-place grid penalty for what he did. So the grid actually looked like this. So Hamilton was on pole, with Nico Rosberg 2nd, with Daniel Ricciardo 3rd, Valtteri Bottas 4th, Romain Grosjean 5th, Kimi Räikkönen 6th, Fernando Alonso 7th, Jenson Button 8th, Felipe Massa 9th, Nico Hülkenberg would be in 10th with Sergio Perez 11th, Daniel Kvyat in 12th with Esteban Gutierrez 13th, Kevin Magnussen would be in 14th with Sebastian Vettel 15th, Adrian Sutil will be in 16th, Max Chilton will be in 17th with Jules Bianchi 18th, Marcus Ericsson will be 19th with Kamui Kobayashi 20th, and then at the back, John-Eric Vergne will be in 21st because of his penalty, and Pastor Maldonado would be 22nd. So, that was the qualifying. Now let's get to the race. And the race, well, Lewis Hamilton took off where he was on pole position, had a great start and moved it and kept his lead. But it was a good start for Valtteri Bottas. He got it up to 3rd and nearly got Nico Rosberg into turn 1. Sebastian Vettel did not get a good start from 15th. He was still in 15th. Jenson Button had a woeful start from 8th and dropped all the way down to 13th. Woeful, that was. Grosjean managed to keep hold of his 5th position. And all round there was nothing really much going on. There was a... Sebastian Vettel was moving it up the field very well. He picked off people. Both Jenson Button and Sebastian Vettel were on the back of Esteban Gutierrez. It seemed that the Sauber had a speed issue down the straight because clearly the McLaren and the Red Bull of Button and Vettel were able to get him down the straight easily. Grosjean seemed to keep hold of the Ferraris really well, although it did look like the Ferraris were going to be scrapping the whole way through. Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas were battling each other for 3rd place. Bottas keeping holding him for a while. Ricciardo would have to try and get him in the pit stops. Well, before that, Sebastian Vettel was the first to come in. He was stuck behind Jenson Button and felt that an early stop would try and leapfrog the McLaren. Later on, the second person was Daniel Ricciardo, proving that Red Bull were actually doing some early stops. It might have been a 3-stop race for them. It actually turned out it didn't later on in the race. It actually turned out to be a 2-stop, but a longer strategy. Daniel Ricciardo wanted to pit so he could try and leapfrog Valtteri Bottas, so Valtteri had to get his foot down. Both Mercedes came in. Hamilton came in first and rejoined in second, so not losing the top 2 positions. Rosberg came in and was still behind Hamilton by 2 seconds. And it was clear that, like Bahrain, both Mercedes were on different strategies because Hamilton was on the softer tyre and Rosberg was on the harder tyre. So clearly, Rosberg was going for a faster strategy at the end of the race. Valtteri Bottas came in, but it was too late. Ricciardo had put in some blistering laps and was well ahead of Valtteri Bottas when Valtteri came out the pits. He was even at turn 3 when Valtteri Bottas rejoined from the pits. Bottas came in, and clearly Sebastian Vettel had leapfrogged him. Fernando Alonso had made his pit stop, but couldn't get the jump on Kimi Raikkonen, and nor could the pair of them get the jump on Romain Grosjean. Romain managed to stay ahead of the two Ferraris, but dropped to 6th anyway. Well, I don't know if he did anyway. So, the results, there was still some battles going on. The two Ferraris were then chasing down on the Lotus of Romain Grosjean. Grosjean was seemed to have a speed disadvantage compared to the Ferraris. Kimi Raikkonen picked him off first of all. It took him a while to get past first of all, but he eventually got him the next lap and moved up into 6th position. Then Fernando Alonso on the next lap breezed past the Lotus as well to move up to 7th. Then the Ferraris decided to battle, but later on. We already had a retirement on lap 24. Jean-Eric Vergne pulled out of the race, retired in the garage thanks to an exhaust problem. So yeah. Magnussen was also picking his way through the field, battling with Daniel Kvyat and passed him for 13th. Both rookies finally having a battle. It seemed to me that the Mercedes seemed to do a better start. Hamilton seemed to have a slower pit stop compared to Nico. Nico had a quicker pit stop to Hamilton, but it didn't really matter anyway. So as we approached the second round of stops, it seemed that the Mercedes were going to have a battle. Hamilton was the first to come in and change to the prime tyres because he had to use both compounds. A few laps later, Rosberg then came in for option tyres and was still behind Lewis by about 6 seconds. But he was chunking to his lead quite a lot. The gap was just cutting like crazy. Sebastian Vettel was making his way through the field absolutely brilliantly. He had already passed Grosjean and was on the back of 7th placed. Trying to think who he was now. The guy who was in 7th. Doesn't matter. He even leapfrogged Fernando Alonso after he came into the pits. He then made a move on Kimi Raikkonen and moved up into 6th position. He was then on the back of Valtteri Bottas, and unbelievably, after he did make it up to 5th because I believe someone else went into the pits. But amazingly, Sebastian Vettel, made it up into 4th place, passing Valtteri Bottas. What a comeback he made from 15th on the grid. Both Ferraris were having a scrap, and Fernando Alonso seemed to have the quicker car. It took him a while, but eventually Fernando got past Kimi Raikkonen and moved up to 6th place to the delight of the Spanish crowd. Earlier on, we had our second retirement and final retirement on lap 34, as Kamui Kobayashi braked into turn 1 and went straight on. He then came back into the pits to retire in the garage thanks to a brake failure. Pastor Maldonado had made it up to 15th, so he was having an okay comeback. Sutter was going backwards all of a sudden. He could only manage. He was 17th. The two Mercedes, though, was the thing to look out on. Nico Rosberg was chunking time out of Lewis's lead. He was even at the back of him at one point, but was not able to get side by side with the Brit. He had a few chances, but never made it work. So in the end, it was Lewis Hamilton who went on to win for the first time in Spain. His first win in Spain, and became the 8th different winner in 8 years in the Spanish Grand Prix. Nico Rosberg came across the line only 0.6 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Daniel Ricciardo finally got his first ever podium in 3rd place. Nothing to take the position away from him this time. Ricciardo finished in 3rd, but 49 seconds behind the race leader. One of the drivers of the day had to be Sebastian Vettel. From 15th on the grid, he made it back up to 4th position. An incredible drive from the 4-time world champion. Valtteri Bottas equalled his best position in 2014 by finishing 5th. Fernando Alonso crossed the line in 6th, with Kimi Raikkonen in 7th. And congratulations to Romain Grosjean. After all the pain in the winter and in the first 4 races, he finally got some points for Lotus by finishing in 8th position. And then Sergio Perez finished in 9th, with Nico Hülkenberg 10th. Jenson Button could only manage 11th. Kevin Magnussen was in 12th. Both cars outside the points again. Felipe Massa could only manage 13th. He was also disappointed. Daniel Kvyat could not get any points in his rookie debut season. Pastor Maldonado finished 15th. Esteban Gutierrez 16th. Adrian Sutil 17th. Jules Bianchi 18th. Max Chilton 19th. Marcus Ericsson in 20th. And the 2 drivers that didn't finish were Kamui Kobayashi and Jean-Eric Vergne. So, in the Drivers' Championship, Lewis Hamilton, for the first time since Canada 2012, takes the lead in the Drivers' Championship. And it's the first time he's taken the lead in the Drivers' Championship with Mercedes. He has taken the lead from his teammate by 3 points ahead of Nico Rosberg. Fernando Alonso is still in 3rd, although a long 51 points off the championship leader. Sebastian Vettel moved up to 4th, with Daniel Ricciardo moving up to 5th. Nico Hülkenberg drops down to 6th, with Valtteri Bottas 7th. Jenson Button drops down to 8th, with Kevin Magnussen dropping down to 9th. Sergio Perez is in 10th, with Kimi Raikkonen in 11th. Felipe Massa is in 12th, tied with Jean-Eric Vergne and Daniel Kvyat. And the 7 drivers who are still yet to score are Sutil, Gutierrez, Chilton, Kobayashi, Maldonado, Ericsson, and Bianchi. So, in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes are now over 100 points ahead of Red Bull. They are, to be exact, 113 points ahead of Red Bull in 2nd. Ferrari have moved up to 3rd, with Force India dropping down to 4th. Williams moved up to 5th, and McLaren dropping down to 6th. Disappointing. And Toro Rosso in 7th, with Lotus getting off the point scoring board in 8th. And the 3 teams that are still yet to score are Sauber, Marussia, and Caterham. So what do I think of that race? Well, it wasn't as exciting as Bahrain, but by God was it a good race. It's in the top 2. So, this is my top 5 races so far in 2014. In 1st it is Bahrain. 2nd it is Spain. In 3rd it is Australia, with China in 4th and Malaysia in 5th. So, that was a pretty good race. Congratulations to Lewis Hamilton for making it 4 wins in a row. Congratulations that he's finally taken the lead in the Drivers' Championship. And, of course, well done for him getting his first win in Spain. Now the F1 returns in 2 weeks' time at the Monaco Grand Prix. Expect some excitement at that track. It has normally produced some exciting races, especially last year. So, hope for the same this year. Now I'll be back in 2 weeks, the same day as when the Indy 500 is on for the IndyCar. But until then, this has been the Spanish Grand Prix review. This has been my review of the race, an exciting race to watch. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please comment, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, I have been GT5Man21, and I will talk to you guys later. Cheers.